JT might join by Zoom, or he might just watch on YouTube.
Okay.
Where are we getting glare from? My glasses.
Morning, Chip.
I need to let Rick back. Okay, Rick, I let you back in. So.
It's 8:59. Got a minute.
Mm.
They're all on?
Yeah.
Is Luke on?
Luke's not, I don't see Luke.
Okay. So if we get to number 6, we'll wait for him to get on. It's 9 a.m. Where do I get the info to call in on this meeting, Luke?
Okay.
What do I tell him?
I emailed it to him last night.
Okay.
Let's see, it should be a link right in the thing. I can call him in a minute if you.
We'll see if he finds it. We're just trying to get Luke on here, so.
I'll send it again.
Oh, it's Zoom, right? So
Yeah, it's Zoom, yeah. I sent it, but it should be in his email. We can, I think it's 9 if you want to.
Pardon? Go ahead and start.
Yeah, I think you can go and start. I can step out and give him a call real quick.
Okay. We will call this meeting of the Codington County Board of Commissioners to order. It is Tuesday, April 14th, 2020. I will just like to mention that present, we have Alyssa here. Cindy is out today, so Alyssa will be doing our minutes. Commissioner Waterman, Commissioner Gable, and we have on teleconference, Commissioner Van Duzen and Commissioner Johnson. We also have Sheriff Brad Howell and Highway Department is Rick Hartley, and Lee Mueller will also be joining us via teleconference.
Luke Mueller.
All right, so let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Johnson, would you like to lead us today?
You bet. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will go to item number 2. For our public comment, we now ask individuals to call in, and then we will call them back during the open portion of our meeting. And those 2 numbers are 882-6297 and also 882-6288. We are also streaming live, so if individuals would like to join us that way as we get the word out, go to YouTube and it's Codington and look it up according to the date. So we will go then to item number 3. Is there any items on the agenda that is a conflict for the commissioners?
No.
No,
I will also call for a roll call vote for the 2 commissioners who are not present. So if you would wait for me to call your name on your vote, that would be great. Item number 4, action to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Got a motion by Gable. Second by Waterman. Is there any additions or that anyone needs to add? I guess we can't really add anything at this point. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner Johnson.
aye.
Commissioner Van Duzen.
Aye.
All right, that motion carries. Item number 5, action to approve the minutes of the April 14th, 2020 minutes. Was there any additions or corrections, or I'll look for a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Gable, second by Waterman. Commissioner Johnson or Commissioner Van Duzen, you have any additions or corrections?
No.
All right. Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Aye.
Commissioner Van Duzen,
Aye.
any opposed? Hearing none. That motion carries. All right, is Luke on?
Yeah, I just got on. Luke, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, Luke, we are on item number 6, the first reading of ordinance number 70, an emergency ordinance temporarily amending the Codington County Subdivision Ordinance, action to set public hearing, and the second reading and adoption. Would you like to give us an explanation of that, please?
Certainly I will. I am going to grab the ordinance here in just a second to be able to read it for you here. I'll just start with the first reading here of that. And that's ordinance number 70, an emergency ordinance temporarily amending the Codington County Subdivision Ordinance pursuant to 11-2, 1967 and amendments thereof. This, I know I described a little bit the urgency or need at the previous meeting, but this is really just an ordinance that would temporarily allow the zoning officer to administratively approve plats that were either A, ordered by the Board of Adjustment to comply with some order of the Board of Adjustment, or B, are consist of 35 acres and meet our minimum lot minimums and that sort of information, and not more than, I gotta double check the number of lots here, not more than 3 lots in any of those cases. I had several plats already ready for meeting right after we met in March. And all we're doing at this point is, by not doing that, is kind of holding up some property transfers and some business. And this is something that is allowed in state law, even without an emergency going on. However, in this case, I don't want to jump on anyone's toes or get into a large discussion about should this be a long-term thing. So that's where we just thought we'll do that through the end of August. And then if the commissioners and or planning commission want to continue it after that, we can talk about it then.
All right, sounds good. So we have the date set for Tuesday, April 28th is when we would do the second reading. Is that correct? At 9:30? And for individuals who would want to partake in that, they would need to call the auditor's office and make arrangements to participate no later than Monday, April 27th.
That is correct, just to make sure that they know how to go ahead and get and participate.
All right.
So do we need to make a motion to set, I see on the agenda, it says action to set the public hearing. Do we need
Yeah.
to make a motion to do that?
Yes, action to set public hearing, reading, and then adoption. So that would be correct.
Well, Madam Chair, I'd make that motion to set the public hearing for Tuesday, the 28th, along with the second reading.
I'll second the motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this item?
Should say it's at 9:30 a.m. that
Yeah,
day. because that's-
9:30. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner Johnson,
Aye.
Commissioner Van Duzen,
Aye.
any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. So we will plan on the second reading and the public hearing and adoption then on Tuesday, April 28th, 2020 at 9:30 a.m. Be sure to call into the auditor 882-6297 to make arrangements prior to the meeting and no later than noon on Monday, April 27th. All right, very good. We will move on then to monthly reports, item number 7, and facilities manager. We have Steve here, so he will come and give us an update.
Oh, good morning.
Morning, Steve.
To start out with, I'm going to start out with the weed. this week, I'm gonna get John started out at the weed shed. He's gonna work on a truck that needs to have injecting equipment redone. As far as the courthouse, all right, the sprinkler system has been installed currently right now. At the present time, they are doing a test. They actually did an air test overnight, and they are now putting water into the system and doing a water test. And from that, Brian, one of my staff, has been painting all the elbows and pipes and doing some room cleaning when he's in there also. So we had to get things back up to shape again. Here at the detention center, plus at the courthouse, basically there is there was a few cameras replaced. And so we had throughout the system, some cameras that were bad, old analog, plus some bad, I should say, the lenses were bad, not giving good color, good protection. I guess we're all scarred up, scratched up from outdoor stuff. So that's been an improvement. Continually doing sanitation throughout the building periodically during the day, both detention center and the courthouse. As far as the ag building goes, because of no activities going on, the staff has been waxing and shampooing all the floors, so they are pretty well getting up to date on that. And then park goes, managers have moved in. They are getting to learn to know the system, having plenty of calls for reservations. And then the staff is out doing their spring cleanup this week, getting the park into shape, because there's a lot of branches and twigs and stuff like that all over the place. So
Very good. Does anyone have any questions for Steve?
Just a comment, Madam Chair. So on the sprinkler system, I think they're doing a good job. I was particularly pleased with the courtroom and the copper tubing they used there. I think that's looking good, because it takes a bit of finesse when you're dealing with a historical building.
Yep.
So if folks have a chance, commissioners are in the courthouse, it might be good to go take a look at that. And then do we want to hit on
Yes.
number 9?
We're going to do number 9. And then do you want to do your personnel change while you're here, and then
Yeah,
kind of
we could,
stick
yeah.
around, get it all done at once? So we
Yep.
will move on then to item number 9, discussion, possible action to revisit action on Memorial Park campground operations. I asked to have that put back on for the reasoning that I was able to obtain how the city is actually doing theirs. And there's probably 3 things that I'd like to see us take a look at. One would be that we don't have a bathroom open. For the state parks, it's just the vault bathrooms, and those are like a glorified outhouse.
Yes.
And if there isn't any, there will not be any bathroom facilities open. So I'd like us to revisit that and not have a bathroom facility. Another thing then would be you have to be self-contained. That would be no tenters. If you cannot be self-contained, then that would, because we won't have bathroom facilities. And then the third one is possibly, and I don't know if you had a chance to check this out, taking the online off for a time being, maybe till mid-May. That would cut down on individuals maybe that are a ways out of the area, and that way they're not making reservations going further, because we don't know how this is all going to go, and then we'd have to just contact all those people, and if we end up not opening up to and as we go. I don't know, this is ever changing with how things are going, but it would just be a lot easier to pull that online off for a short time, just to recess it or whatever for a little bit. Anyone have any other comments or concerns? Or Steve, did you want to? Who?
Troy, were you going to say something?
No, I wasn't. It's all right.
Yeah, well, just
I do have a comment about that, and no bathrooms being open out there at all. If you go to Walmart, Kmart, or not Kmart anymore, but if you go to Walmart or Menards or Hy-Vee or County Fair, those people are probably more those facilities are more heavily populated and used than our parks would be. And I can see a possible people coming to the house and knocking on the door and saying, I have an emergency. Therefore, I think that those bathrooms should stay open.
If they're self-contained, they should have no reason to have an emergency.
Okay, so you're going to keep just people out. You're not going to let anybody in the park except that it's self-contained.
Self-contained, no tenters.
No walk-ins, no walkers, no bicyclists, no nothing.
Well, they'll go through the park, but that doesn't mean that they need to use the facilities. The city parks facilities will not be open either, I guess. So they'll have to plan for that, but no.
I just think that we're overdoing it a little bit.
Well, what's the level of cleaning that you want to do on that?
I think it comes down to what is the level of risk that we're ready to take. We have had no new cases of anything in Codington County in the last 10 days to 2 weeks. This is something that we're going to have to live with from now on forward. Next year, the year after, it's here to stay.
I'm just saying until maybe mid-May. I mean, we can revisit this every week, but I think on the short term that first opening, I would suggest that we don't have the bathroom open right away. I'm not saying the whole season, but just short term here till we just see how this progresses, I guess. There's still unknowns and we're proceeding with caution. And I don't know what level, it would be that those facilities should be clean to avoid it. We would put ourselves at more risk by having it open and somebody saying they contracted it in our bathroom than if we have it closed.
Madam
I
Chair.
do have a suggestion, kind of down the middle of the road is, how about if we would post when the bathroom would be cleaned? In other words, leave the one bathroom open and say this facility will be cleaned at, 10, 12, 2, and 4. Otherwise, so people will know that it's not going to be cleaned after every person. Just give them a heads up so they know what's going on there.
Commissioner Van Duzen, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I do. At the city council meeting last night, they voted to sunset their emergency ordinance next week. And I think that that's something that we need to keep on our agenda, and we need to keep our finger on the pulse of what's going on, because this is changing daily. And I think as long as we keep it on the agenda and we address it every week, I think I'm okay with leaving them closed for right now, but I would think that within a couple of weeks, we should probably think about reopening those facilities.
Yes, I agree with that. I like I said, it's just, it needs to be revisited, but I think from the get-go, just maybe have that facility closed and no tenters in align with what the city is doing, and the state aren't allowing tenters as well. So Commissioner Gable, did you have any?
Yeah, I just want, I think I kind of agree, but I did want to hear Steve's view, particularly. What the question I had specifically was, if we did leave them open and you had to clean at regular intervals, how would that be difficult to do for just the
currently right now? Because it's up by the maintenance shed, it's probably within 20 feet of the maintenance shed. The unit that we have is a C3 machine. It's kind of like a commercially spray washer. And so what it does is it mists and sprays, and you could basically like power wash it down. It's like I said, it's within probably about 30 to 40 feet from the maintenance area. And I've already had stated, if we have it open, it needs to be at least cleaned at least minimum of every 2 hours and stuff. The one thing is in the first 2 weeks, I believe currently there's probably maybe about 15, 20 units that have reserved for the first couple weeks. It's not until the third week where it really starts ramping up. And so we had third week of May would actually be the weekend before Memorial Weekend. Then it picks up probably to another additional 10 more sites. That doesn't say that more will probably reserve. So that typically the first part of May usually doesn't get a lot of people, but of course, with the unique situation of a lot of camp camping sites and a lot of things down and a lot of people not doing something could probably pick up more campers. I guess I don't have a problem shutting down, you know, currently right now, the online site and just have them call in only. I do know that they had made comments. There's a lot of people from Minnesota that have been calling in wanting to make reservations because Minnesota is a day use only at the present time and people want to enjoy a weekend. And so
Just on the online system, part of the reason I understand is we're having some trouble with that system in general, not just.
So far it's been working good. We had a little bit of issues back when it first went online. And so then it happened to be around the time for the Memorial weekend. We had some double bookings at the present time with cancellations that have gone on, and some of them that had double booked had canceled. Currently right now, we're at a status that now we have nothing that's double booked. So
that's good. Well, I guess, Madam Chair, I'd make the motion to modify the Memorial Park Campground Operations Policy that we set last week to close the bathroom facilities, require that all campers be in a self-contained arrangement, and to stop accepting online reservations for now. And with the stipulation that we continually revisit this, at least keep it on the agenda for on a weekly basis.
Yeah, sounds good. Do I have a second to that motion? I'll second that motion. Any further discussion? And we have Becky. I don't know if you would have any comments as far as liability on any of that.
I think you're okay where you're at right now.
You mean with what Lee has said? Okay. So anyone else have any comments?
I guess my comment and stuff like that, I know like if we shut down the online reservations, so that if people call in, if they call in and want to put a tent or something beyond, like say June 1st, is that going to be prohibited? That's the question to ask.
And that's the thing, I guess, at this point, we don't have any stipulation going there, but that could change. I mean, we don't know. So I mean, if they want to book it under the understanding that it could be canceled because we don't know going forward. But I mean, I would say that would be safe as long as they understand that that could happen.
I think Commissioner Van Duzen wanted to say something, Madam Chair.
Okay, Commissioner Van Duzen.
No, I just, I'm not in favor of shutting down the online reservation system. Are we doing that because we're having an issue with it, Lee? Is that what your motion is? Or what's the?
Well, my understanding, I'll let Steve explain that, but as I understand it, it'd be easier to manage the crisis as part of the issue too. Would you explain that, Steve?
That would probably be the biggest thing is the online reservation deal. You would, by calling in, you would be able to control pop-up campers and tent campers. So that for going forward for the next couple of weeks at least. So that because, there are spots open and doesn't say that somebody with a tent, will want to come in and camp primarily because you have these people that are traveling, going through, they might have a tent and go online, make a reservation. We had that incident happen here a couple weeks ago that actually April didn't get blocked off. A gentleman was coming through, made a reservation, showed up, there was nothing open. So that would probably be the biggest precaution. Measure.
So if I understand what you're saying, Steve, is that it's hard. One of the reasons it's hard to manage is you can't get on there and say, so when a person makes a reservation, they don't say whether or not they're in a tent or a camper.
When they go online, they got to turn around and put what they're in. A fifth wheel travel trailer, tent, pop up, give size and everything like that when they do the online deal. But like it is after that is made, then you have to keep and probably monitor that. And somebody that did it online, did a tent or pop up, then you would have to immediately contact that person that the facility is basically shut down for any bathhouses. or
So-
rest, or, you know,
Could we modify the system to not accept tent reservations online?
that I would have to check with the online reservation site.
So
You're also gonna have then your pop-up camper situation.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. So it's just at this time, like, it can stay on the agenda weekly and we can revisit this. It's just right now, just trying to have those people call in so you can explain all this. Otherwise, if we decide, okay, we're not going to do this for a while, then you start trying to get contact information on these individuals who have made reservations. So it would just simplify that portion of it for the time being, not saying the
Yeah.
whole summer, but just for right now.
because just to address, I think Commissioner Van Duzen's concern, I'm a fan of using technology where we can, because I think it's, in general, it saves labor. In this case, because of the way the reservation system we have, it's a little hard to do. We're also talking to our, a local vendor about possibly switching reservation systems and finding something that's a little easier to do, that's not managed, on a server in the courthouse. So I
Okay,
hope
with
that can take, yeah.
that being said, I guess, do we have a motion on the floor, Madam Chair?
Yes, we do. Commissioner Gable made the motion. Do you want him to reread what he said?
If you could, Commissioner Gable, if you could reread that.
Yeah,
that'd be-
so I made a motion to close the bathroom, and that campers must be in a self-contained arrangement, and to stop taking online reservations for now. And then with the understanding that we're going to be revisiting this on a weekly basis as things develop.
I'll second the motion.
All right. Okay.
Lee, you made a comment. Lee, you made the deal about technology, and I certainly appreciate everything that's been done. But what about the people that you alluded to, Steve, that come from Minnesota, don't have a reservation, drive up to the gate?
And I mean, yeah, if there's campsites available, they're able to do that, because I mean, even Watertown has that. Watertown is a first come, first served basis. So basically anybody that comes in, they probably really can't deny if they come in from somewhere else.
Right.
The biggest thing that, of course, City Park has it. A lot of times the local people, when they want to turn around and do that, they're out there and get a site already by Wednesday, before a weekend. So
If they're self-contained, you can't refuse them. I mean, if they're following all the guidelines that we have, they would be allowed to do that.
right. That's, yeah, you're not going to turn around and restrict somebody that's, because we're not restricting people, not just, we're not restricting locals only. It's basically anybody.
No, I understand that.
Yep.
And my concern was the people that might come from, say, Wilmer, and haven't read the website and don't have a self-contained camper, and come to the door gate, and then we say goodbye, and we get a lot of people from over at that area shopping in Watertown. And does it leave a sour note?
Yeah, well, hopefully that, given the current crisis, they're going to be checking our website and maybe making a phone call to the
And of course, it's going to probably
camp.
take some posting of some signs. Of course, like it is, a lot of people don't seem like they read signs and so that, but you'd probably have to put a sign out at the entrance, due to the coronavirus and so that no tents or
No
Or
bathroom
pop-ups.
facilities, yeah.
And I think it's going to be important that we put that in big letters on our website as well, because people are.
right now, she on the website, she put it pretty bold and red colors and highlighted some areas, and I would have to have her do that on her website also
Perfect.
and stuff. So
Yep. All right.
Well,
Any other discussion? Are we ready to vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
No,
Commissioner Van Duzen,
Aye.
any other opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. We'll do those, make those modifications. This will
Okay.
stay on the agenda. We will discuss this weekly if things come up.
mhm.
All right.
You want to do the,
Yes, and now we will move on to, Steve has hired a new individual, so
Yep.
if he wants to let us know about that.
currently last week we had done interviews and so that for maintenance for a detention center and also facilities of Codington County. We have selected Steve Stocky. He is currently employed at Dugan's. He's been there for 17 years, and we wish and want to welcome him if the board accepts.
All right, so we have a personnel change. Alyssa, do you want to just read what that says, please?
Yeah. New hire, Steve Stalky, building maintenance worker, detention center. New step number 6, pay rate would be $18.06. Monthly would be $3,142.44.
All right, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Gable. So the second by Van Duzen. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Aye.
Commissioner Van Duzen.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. We have a new hire.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I was just showing what Steve was mentioning. This is the webpage for Memorial Park on our county website. So this is that's what's on there right now. So
And
people
if you
can.
scroll down to, and if you're on the website, that's where you reserve. So you have to actually scroll down to get to the online site.
So we should probably have if you can get with Karen to have
I'll
that
get with
turned
Karen
off.
to get that, and then I have to actually contact that online site from California to get that, because if somebody had saved it in a favorite, it will actually go into their system.
Okay.
And so without linking through the county website. So
Just suspend for the time being, basically.
Yeah. The other thing, Madam Chair, on that, just if you could, I think it's important that we contact as many people that have made
Yep.
reservations as we can
yep.
to let them know what's going on.
Okay.
All right. All right. Thanks, Steve. Did you have anything else? All right. We will move on to on our monthly reports, the Highway Superintendent. Rick, do you have an update for us, please?
Yes, I do. Good morning.
Good morning,
Morning.
Rick.
Morning, Rick.
Morning. Our guys have been out crack sealing. The weather's finally changed enough so they can crack seal whenever it's possible. There's also another crew. They're out patching blowouts in the asphalt. We have 2 residents on County Road 8-1 that the water keeps coming up in Long and Stink. And we keep working on those spots to try and get them up so they don't have to drive in water to get in and out. We're gonna start hauling more riprap to get down to them. The road is in good shape. It's nice and hard, but the water keeps raising. The water is currently running out of Long Lake going north along County Road 23. And then it goes underneath County Road 23 and then it heads east into some no-name sloughs and towards Medicine Lake. That whole chain of lakes over there by Horseshoe and McGilligan's is filling up. So when that gets full and that water starts to backfeed, these homes may be in trouble of getting out of there. One of the homes is currently, there's water roughly 50 feet from their house. They're right next to Stink Lake. So hopefully the water starts slowing down, but we've got a lake basically from a mile north of 212 that runs all the way up to County Road 6. So it's quite a stretch there that you wouldn't have a problem taking a boat. We've got a lot of water over there right now. So we've got one road, it'd be County Road 81A that goes into Clark County. It's 6 miles north of Henry. That goes towards Garden City. There's water in the lanes. We've got it small barricades up so they can drive around it. And the center of the road is dry, so traffic can still get through there. But the water just keeps coming up. That's all I can say. So, to move on past that, we had a garbage truck hit a guardrail on a bridge on County Road 6. It'd be 1 mile west of the casino. We have BX Civil Construction out of Del Rapids. They gave us a price on fixing it. It's around $9,000 to fix that. We're working with the Highway Patrol wrote the accident report, so we're working with them on insurance on the bridge. Currently on 8-2, there's a feedlot 2 miles west of County Road 19 where we built it up. The road is underwater again. And they're having to go out to the west. It's a bad deal with the water. So we went to our 10-hour days early. We split our crews up in half 1 week, half the next week. We started the 10-hour days on the 14th. Blattner Energy up between Waverly and South Shore, they've had some breakups on the blacktop. They had a subcontractor hauling wood mats out and busted the asphalt. They're currently going to remove some of the bigger chunks and place gravel over it to try and bridge across the soft spots. And they'll do some flagging but everything is soft right now. You know, I know the farmers are trying to get in the fields and the gravels are turning soft from very little use. And the blacktops are extremely soft. The frost is still hanging in there. We can't get rid of it quick enough to help get rid of the water. So, and I guess we put the dock in at Memorial Park last week, so that's in. Other than that, that's all I have right now.
Right. I would comment, I did go with Rick one day last week and have seen all of these things that he has mentioned. Water west of town is a definite issue. Those roads for those individuals to get to their homes is a concern. Do they have those spots flagged yet, Rick, up there by Waverly, those bad spots on the road? The other day, they just had a few cones. Do you know if they flagged them yet?
No, they still had some cones, but the way the wind blew yesterday, it blew them down. And I talked to them yesterday afternoon and they were gonna try and get them flagged and get some gravel over them spots so it's not quite as rough.
Right. Yeah, I think it would be important to get them flagged as soon as they can, just so that people, draws attention to that, because some of them are quite rough.
Yes, they are.
All right. Does anyone else have any questions for Rick? Otherwise, we will move on then to number 8, action to hire Clark Engineering for services for a grade raise on County Road 8-2. But did anyone else have any other comments? All right, seeing none, let's move on to item number 8 then. Action to hire Clark Engineering for services for a grade raise on County Road 8-2. Rick, did you want to give a little explanation?
This is to help get a bid together. They've come up with a plan to raise the road another 4 feet to hopefully get everything, because we raised it 3 feet last year. If we have to raise it some more than that, this is going to be kind of an expensive project. It's too big for us to take on. What we did last year, it took time and effort away from other spots. They've got a proposal together so we can set it out for bids probably next week to have contractors build that spot up, rip wrap it. I think that it's going to be a costly ordeal.
That is one of those roads though that, it's those individuals who live there, it's their only way out. Is that correct?
No, it's not the only way out, but there's a feedlot on the, about in the middle of it. And with the load limits on, they can only go 2 miles to get to the next blacktop road, which narrows them down to 7 ton per axle. If this was open, they could go further east and then down to 212 on a township road. That's why we need to keep this spot open. Because it's there's a lot of truck traffic and
Otherwise, they'd be using another road that isn't built or able to handle
yes,
kind of.
and the township roads that they have, they only go down to another blacktop road, and the township roads are in worse shape than ours. So
Right. All right.
it's either we build this up or we're gonna have to buy some property to go around this slough. So it's a bowl. It just does not go anywhere.
Right.
Madam Chair, if I could ask a question. So,
Well, should we get action on this and then have discussion?
I can,
Just to-
I'm happy making the motion to hire Clark Engineering for services for a grade raise on County Road 8-2.
All right. So we have a motion. Do I have a second to that motion?
Second.
All right. Got a motion second by Van Duzen. Okay, Commissioner Gable.
Yeah, so my question, Rick, so this, just so we understand this action fully, so the engineering services, Clark is essentially engineering it, and then are they managing the project as well?
Yes,
Okay, and so do we know the price tag for Clark's services at this point?
yes. It'd be $39,804.85.
Okay, and are any of these repairs budgeted?
No, this was, I was hoping we'd had it taken care of last fall, but we've got more water this year than we've ever had. So we're setting all-time highs on water level.
Yeah, I was out there myself on Sunday driving around with my family, and yeah, I know what you're talking about,
Yeah.
so.
Rick, last year, some of these roads fell under some of the FEMA reimbursement. Is this one of those roads, like it's a continuation of that issue or not?
This was one of the roads that fell under the FEMA, but I don't know if it will continue on that because there's no disaster currently.
Right.
So
I just didn't know if it's a continuation of that same issue, if that would still be eligible or not.
yeah, that's something that in our talks with FEMA, we'll have to pursue more, but
Right.
currently there's nothing.
Right, yeah. But it might not hurt to mention that as a continuation, that it's kind of the same issue, so because of the same reason. All right.
Yes,
Hey,
exactly.
Rick,
Commissioner Johnson?
Rick, how long, the grade raise, how many feet do you think it'll be? What was
It's
it?
roughly about 2,600 feet long.
Uh-huh. So it will be costly.
Yes.
Well, I guess until we get them hired, that's the only way we're going to find out what those costs will be. Commissioner Waterman?
Rick, what did that cost to build that up initially?
Boy, right off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you that, Charlie. We spent, I know just in riprap last year, we spent roughly $400,000. About 375, I think it was, for just riprap through that area.
This is
That's-
about the same length, correct?
Yes, it's the same length, maybe a little bit longer.
Commissioner Johnson, did you have a comment or?
I was just thinking, that's gonna be $1 million road here pretty soon.
Yeah. Yeah,
Is
this
that
isn't the first time we've had to build it up.
Right. Is that the strip of land that you were talking about, some landowners acquiring some fill from them. Is this that area?
Yeah, we're working on trying to get material on both sides to go through it, because the last time we trucked it in, because everything was so wet, the material around wouldn't have worked as good, so we had to truck it from a gravel pit.
Yeah. So it'll be closer at least for that reason.
Yes, so that way they could fill from both ends.
Yeah.
Rick, just curious question for you, Rick. What is the traffic count like on that road?
Well, I couldn't tell you either. I haven't put a traffic count on there, but there's a lot of truck traffic, because the feedlot in the middle, they have 11 employees, and that's it's nonstop daily of traffic through there.
All right. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, we're ready to vote, I guess, just to hire Clark Engineering at this point to see what the cost would be for a grade raise. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Aye.
Commissioner Van Duzen.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. We'll find out, I guess, what those costs will be. Thank you, Rick. I don't think we have anything else on the agenda for you, so thanks for taking time this morning.
Thank you.
Item number 10, discussion with Sheriff Howell and action regarding a grant application to assist with preparedness and response to the COVID-19 event with action to approve purchase of equipment/supplies. Brad, if you would give us a little explanation of this, please.
Sure. Good morning, everybody.
Morning,
I
Brad.
just wanted to share Codington County, along with 3 other counties in the state, were selected. I don't know how they selected it, but through the Department of Justice, we're eligible for up to $58,008 towards a grant here, towards PPE and equipment for the jail and the deputies to help fight this COVID event that we're all dealing with right now. So they said that the money is going quick, so to hurry up and apply. So about a week and a half ago, April 10th, I came in and I worked on that. I did apply for the full $58,008. And I think you all should have a copy of, looks like it's up on the screen there so everybody can see it. There's the grant application. I just did a quick application there of some of the things that we'd be spending it on. If you actually scroll down to the next page there, I kind of broke down the budget a little bit of what we would be spending it on. That Clorox Total 360 machine, about $4,200. And what that does, it's a cleaning system that you can spray in the jail and also in squad cars in our office area. It's a very fine mist that goes out and kind of encapsulates everything in the room through technology and electrostatic type cleaning. That'll help sanitize and the jail area and vehicles and whatnot. So I did order one of those up. They're $4,200. There's a waiting list, of course, to get those. So we're 8 to 10 weeks out. So there's also some PPE, other cleaning supplies. PPE would be personal protective equipment, masks, gowns, gloves, shields, gas masks, etc. I did include some equipment and technology in this grant as well. One of the reasons is, of course, the jail video visitation. We implemented some of that a couple of years ago. We did not get the whole jail implemented when we did that. So there's still isolation and quarantine cells that we're using, which is the new part of the jail. When you come in, that long hallway there, I'd like to outfit those rooms as well. And that would be a cost of around $14,000 for that. So I'd like to get that going sooner than later if we get this grant. Also, just to update some other, a couple tablets in the jail so you can do releases out and bookings out in the Valley Port versus actually bringing somebody through to the jail. Right now, we're actually meeting everybody out in the jail. Anybody that brings an officer that brings somebody in to our facility gets screened out in the jail. So right now, handwriting some things and running back in and entering a few things and testing and whatnot. So That would just help smooth that process just a little bit as well. I did apply for 10% of the grant towards administrative fees so the county can pay staffing to take care and manage the grant. And then of course, medical expenses for the inmates, hospital costs, any testing we have to do for any inmates, PPE for the inmates, medical supplies, etc. Overtime and personnel for part-time for filling in people if they're sick or ill. So that kind of breaks that down a little bit. One of the nice things about this grant is you can actually go back to January 20th and we can supplement anything that the office has bought towards this COVID fight. And like I say, there is several $1,000s I know my office has spent towards just updating and cleaning and PPE and gear that we would need to help with this fight. So we can supplement those funds back into the budget as well.
So, Madam Chair, even though I understand that the sheriff, because of the time sensitivity, had to apply for the grant, we need to approve it as county commissioner. So I'd make a motion that we approve this grant application.
Second.
Have a motion by Gable, second by Waterman. Any further discussion or questions for Brad?
Go ahead, Troy, sorry.
I don't know if this is a typo or maybe it's correct. Maybe I just misunderstand, but type of federal action on the disclosure form that you have there, it's marked as contract instead of grant. Is that right?
You're really quiet there, Troy.
Okay. On this form, disclosure of lobbying activities.
Yep.
You have that it's marked a contract and not a grant. Is that correct?
It was grant is what my understanding is.
Okay. It's marked as a contract. I just wanted to make sure that it's not a contract. It is a grant.
My understanding, it's a grant. Yep.
Okay, so keep scrolling down, Lee. I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about there. It's right there on that form. Number 1, type of federal action.
Yep. I think the contract part is this is what we're going to spend the money on. It's not that we're going to go spend it towards buying new vehicles or buying something else.
Okay.
This is what we said that we're going to spend it on, and this is what we would spend it towards. We can spend this money if we get it. We can spend this money up to 2 years. So of course, this COVID fight can last for quite some time. So it's something that will be open for possibly a couple years.
Is that so, Troy? Excuse me, Madam Chair. Just Troy, you're suggesting maybe we just need to verify that that's the correct entry on that particular.
No, I just wanted to make sure that that wasn't a typo. If the form's already been submitted, that it is a grant and not a contract. But
yeah, okay,
that's okay. I'm okay with it.
And just so everybody, it's my understanding of this grant is it's not there's no match. It's just a grant.
Yep. Yes. The city of Watertown.
Question, Brad.
Question by Waterman.
Last week, I believe we voted to buy some emergent PPE from Raven Industries. How much of that could be put under this grant?
Like I say, some of that is allowed under here. Personal protective equipment that the sheriff's office and jail would use. We personally bought some stuff as well before the Raven Industries thing was going through. So if there was some funds left in that PPE line item when we're done, some of those things could potentially be reimbursed, I suppose.
I think, just Madam Chair, I think if I can clarify, I think are you talking about the thing that we went in with the city to buy those gowns for medical personnel in town here? So that's correct. Yeah, I think this grant has to go towards law enforcement personnel in the sheriff's office. So if you had that kind of thing that you needed to buy, then yeah.
We did actually order some through Pheasant Land Industries, some gowns and a few of those things before we knew that Raven Industries and the EOC was actually doing that project. So,
and that will go towards our other that we're all keeping track of for the COVID. That will be a percent of that it will go towards the total dollar amount. So we'll get some reimbursement on that as well, hopefully. All right, any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
Commissioner Van Duzen?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Thanks for doing that, Brad. That will help
One
with,
other,
oh, go ahead.
one other thing now, I know if the grant is approved, once we get these funds, they made it sound like I should hear any day, and they were pretty positive that we would start getting these funds. I've been checking it every day and we have not gotten anything back yet, but I have been in touch with a gal that is our grant manager. So I'm hoping that we can get these sooner than later. Are you guys okay with me going and starting to order some of these supplies? Just so we can get them going, like say the video visitation and whatnot, so we can get those going and not wait another week for approval.
Right, I would say, just with the demand on a lot of these items, you may put it in now, but we may not see it for a few weeks, so.
Do we,
That's absolutely it.
are
Like I
you,
said, I'd like to just get on the list right away so we can get at least like the video visitation and some of those things up and going. I know the time is going to take some time to get those up and going, and like I say, those are going to be our isolation and quarantine cells is where I'd be putting those. So
well, maybe we should take, since this as maybe part of item number 12, agenda item 12, we should just go ahead and authorize the purchases outlined in the
Yeah.
grant, if that's a concern, just to make sure that we have you covered, Sheriff. Is that what you're asking?
yes, that's what I'm asking, just so we can get.
You
those
want to
going.
make that emotionally?
Yeah, so I'll make a motion that the sheriff is authorized to make the purchases as outlined in the grant application. Yeah, related to the COVID-19 crisis.
Upon receipt of the money?
On receipt of the money.
Well,
No.
he was planning on ordering them now, so that he can get them ordered. Is that correct, Brad, or did I
Well,
misunderstand you?
like the Clorox Total 360, I did order. I got on the list of that actually a couple weeks ago, and that was $4,200. But like I say, I would not buy the video visitation and some of these other things because they're without approval. It's not in the budget.
Okay. So basically then it's just whenever you hear the approval, at least you would have our permission to go ahead and get those things ordered before we'd have another
Yes.
meeting.
Yeah, so then like I say, and I would, of course, update you guys every time I come up and do my monthly report on the
Right.
COVID events from the office, so.
All right.
So the question being, Lee, do you have a second motion on the floor?
He
Yeah,
has a-
so the motion is to authorize the sheriff to make purchases in accordance with the grant application. We understand some of the things you might want to put on order now, and some of the things you're going to want, or you're going to wait until you get,
funding comes in.
until you get your funding. It just depends on what it is, but some things are of an urgent nature that you want to get on the list, so to speak. So I guess.
What are we looking at for costs associated with those items? Any idea?
Well, like I say, the Clorox 360, I did already order that. That's $4,200. It's about $14,000 for the video visitation. That'd be one of those things I would wait until the grant has been approved and we actually have the funds. That's not in my budget. Like I say, the phone system, some of those things would be nice to, the Verizon phone, update our phone system. That's about $2,800. And so.
Everything else you already have funds available in your budget to absorb.
Yes, to cover if we absolutely need to, yes.
Okay. So do we need, why don't I make just make the motion thus that authorize the sheriff to make the purchases according to the grant application, with the exception of the video visitation, it being only if the money comes in. So that would be my motion.
All right. We have a motion by Gable. Does anyone want to second that motion?
I'll second that.
All right, got a second by Waterman. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Commissioner Van Duzen?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. That motion carries as well. All right. Thanks, Brad. I think
All right,
that's
thank you.
all we have for you today as well. So
All right, thank you.
thank you. We will move on then to item number 11, discussion, possible action regarding commission virtual meetings. I don't know if we really, seems to be
Yeah, okay.
working well. I've had a lot of compliments from the public who are on, joining on YouTube that everything's real clear and able to hear and actually can see what's up there. So,
Yeah, Madam Chair, just to update people on what, so we went ahead and now we have a separate county account with Zoom. So that's what people are joining. So that's a little easier to do. And it was roughly $150 for an annual subscription. So, and I think we got the IT working now. So seems to be working okay. So, and I kind of actually like this, even if we weren't in a crisis, because largely because of the document sharing, and the audio quality is probably a little bit better too on the stream. So now that we got it figured out anyway.
yeah. Anyone else have any comments? All right.
I would rather be there in person.
Yeah, someday, hopefully. Item number 12, discussion, action, possible action on COVID-19 practices and procedures. Action to open the courthouse to absentee voters only per SDCL 12-19-2.1 and per SDPAA legal counsel. Who is going to speak on that?
I think I have a general idea of
okay.
So since Cindy isn't here today, just to, and some of us may have also discussed it with her in passing through her office, but the idea is the law requires us to allow early voting. And even though we're doing a lot of encouraging of absentee voting or voting by mail, and the Secretary of State's doing that, we still have to have the courthouse, once the ballots are ready, basically open for early voting. And so the challenge is we've closed the courthouse to the public, but we do have to make a provision somehow for early voting. And so the way I understood Cindy's plan, and you might know, Alyssa,
Just
a little
to,
bit.
Like put a note on the door that if you're here to early vote, call this number.
Mhm.
And then one of us would come down and,
Yeah. So.
but not, keep the doors locked and.
Yes.
Yeah, so ideally, and I think Cindy had also spoke, some of the details need to be worked out. Cindy had also spoke about an appointment system, either by phone, maybe even
Appointments.
online, but
And
I
I don't know if she wants to do that or if it, we're just.
okay, so, or just, yeah, so
Keeping
yeah.
in compliance with the CDC
Yeah, so-
recommendations.
yeah, so we have the challenge of letting people into the courthouse, but only in small, maybe one or two at a time,
Yeah,
to
we
do their early voting.
set up
and-
booths just
Downstairs.
downstairs.
And so that they wouldn't have to go through the security checkpoint. The entrance would only be from the south. And that, so kind of to keep it at a steady flow is the idea, and not let people come all the way to the auditor's office. And so, but we do have to have the way the legislation reads, as I understand it, is the auditor's office is the place of early voting. So essentially we're making a satellite early vote or satellite auditor's office down there by the south entrance of the courthouse in order to do this.
And they're just going to call. I mean, if
It will be by appointment or call when they come.
they
or
walk up to the door and see that.
It is not up and running yet, I would guess. Whenever this gets implemented, we will make sure that.
Yeah, the ballots, you're still waiting on the ballots
Don't have
anyway.
ballots yet.
Yeah, so the ballots have to be delivered to us.
But it's mainly just that we would take action to open it to allow for that process to happen in a very limited sort of way, but at least we make that available.
Just one question, is there a date that, I spoke, speaking to Cindy in passing, it was May 1st was the date we were looking at. But is it basically when ballots are delivered is what, that part of the law, I don't know if you know, is that the?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess I'd make a motion to authorize opening of the courthouse to set up a satellite auditor's office for early voting near the around the south entrance of the courthouse as soon as ballots are available.
And by appointment or a call.
Well, I think the details, I didn't really want to get into the details
Yeah,
for the,
like
because
it's-
there's,
we'll just put a note on the door
Yeah.
that if you're here to
Yeah.
vote, call the auditor's office. Here's the number.
okay, that some of the details.
Somebody will be down to let them in.
we'll
Yeah.
we ask the public to pay attention to the details. We can maybe put a little bit
Do
more
a
information.
PSA
on-
maybe or something
Yeah,
when
put a
we
little
get
bit-
that.
Yeah, put a little bit more information on the
Yeah.
website. And realize that, I think the auditor's office needs kind of a slow, steady flow in order to do this because of the need to keep the actual numbers of anybody voting at one time or in the courthouse as low as possible.
All right, so your motion is to allow that to happen on the first floor of the courthouse when the ballots are received.
Yep.
All right. Do we have a second to that motion?
Second.
Was that Commissioner
Van Duzen.
Van Duzen?
Yes, it was.
All right. Any other discussion about that? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Commissioner Van Duzen?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries also. Something I would just like to mention, I guess, when we're on the COVID, I have organized, so being part of the Unified Command, and I'm the liaison officer, but I'm also 2-on-1 representative, and now also our county partners task force. So I'm just going to mention the different towns. We have weekly meetings. So if there is any issues that arise in these different communities, there is a contact person for them to contact, or myself. So the Waverly South Shore superintendent is also the South Shore mayor. That would be John Meyer. The town of Kransberg would be Dale Plunkett. Meadow Lake Assisted Living is Chastity Chandler. Town of Wallace is Al Keller. Florence Superintendent, Mitch Reed. The town of Florence is Pearl Paulson. And then the town of Henry is the mayor, Don Larson. So if there's any individuals in those communities that if there's any needs that arise, to reach out to those individuals and then we want to make sure that all of our county individuals are assisted with any sort of issues that arise. Also, I just wanted to mention that typically with ICAP, they had blizzard meals, and they are offering that now to individuals that are 60 and older throughout the county or the community, city of Watertown as well. These are frozen meals. They get 7 of them. There's 10 different options. With that, they also get a small loaf of bread, a half a gallon of milk, and some fruit juice. They'll be packed and then they will be delivered. They ask for a free will donation is suggested, and the suggested amount is $27. So if there are any individuals that are in need of this kind of a service, if they would reach out to Rita Ralph, she is at the 60 Plus Dining, and her number is 882-2166. So that is a nice way for individuals to have these meals frozen, and then they can prepare them that way on a daily basis. And then, so they get 7 that last for a week, and then the next week they would do it again. So just putting that out there for information.
Madam Chair, what was
Yes.
the $27 covered?
$27 is for those items that I listed, the 7 meals, a
For
loaf
7
of
meals,
bread,
okay. Yeah,
half
okay.
a gallon of milk and fruit juice. So yeah, it's suggested 27, but if they can't afford the 27, they would accept donations. They don't want anyone to be hungry out there. And these are senior individuals, 60 years and older. So that is another resource that individuals can utilize. All right, let's move on to item number 13, action to approve claims for payment. Do you have anything, Alyssa?
There's 2 Visa payments, one for Cindy's notary.
Okay.
And that was $50, and then a couple from the sheriff's for Menards and miscellaneous travel. That was $1,468.93.
All right.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Gable. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second by Waterman. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Commissioner Van Duzen?
Aye.
Commissioner Waterman, I guess I didn't give you a chance. You didn't have your mic?
It was a yes.
Okay. Any opposed? That motion carries. Item number 14, action to approve automatic budget supplements. Do we have any of those? Nope. Personnel changes. We have a couple of those. If you would want to go over those with us.
All right. John Ingalls, he was the seasonal weed sprayer, so he's gonna go to a seasonal assistant weed supervisor. Step 8 at $19.11.
All right.
And then John Schwant is a seasonal Memorial Park rehire. And his rate, it'll be step 3 at $16.45.
All right.
Dave Curtis is an anniversary increase from step 5 to step 6. New pay rate will be $21.23. $3,694.02 monthly. And then Todd Rose, did you guys do this last week? For the new veteran
Nope.
service
I
hire?
don't think we did.
Thought
No,
we-
I think that
we
we approved it, but I don't know that we took official.
let's go ahead and take action.
Yeah,
then.
just go ahead and. act
Todd
on it.
Rose, veteran service officer, step 8, $23.53 an hour, $4,094.22 monthly.
I'll make a motion to
We
approve.
got another one, I think.
Oh,
or
sorry.
couple-
That's
Oh, that was
the
it?
one that Steve Stelke.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Gable, second by Waterman. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Aye.
Commissioner Van Duzen.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Action, 16, action to approve travel requests. We have any of those. We don't have any public notices. Does anyone have any old business?
Yes, Madam Chair, just a couple of things, just again, mentioning the sprinklers. So it looks like they're testing the system. So it's a good thing I think we're going to have this building as sprinkled as we can get it, even though it's an old historical building. So, and I think the work looks pretty good. And then one other note on you might recall we issued an RFP for jail food services. So those proposals are due this Friday, and the opening of the proposals will be at 1 o'clock in the sheriff's lobby this Friday. So that's whatever date that is, I believe that's the 24th. So 1 o'clock, sheriff's lobby. If anybody wants to watch us open proposals for food service.
All right. Also for old business, it is our local and consolidated boards today, 1 o'clock here with, for the county, and then 6:30, isn't it, tonight at the city? Pull that out.
7, I thought, but.
I think it was 6:30, 6 or 6:30.
I-
Commissioner Van Duzen?
I have 6:30.
Okay, 6:30.
Yep, 6:30. That's what I was thinking. It was 6:30. All right, so that will be happening today, and Shauna has that worked out. So the one at 1 o'clock today will be Commissioner Waterman and Commissioner Johnson and I. And then this evening, the consolidated board at 6:30 is Commissioner Van Duzen and Commissioner Gable and I. And that will be at the city council chambers tonight. So that will be taking place today as well. Anyone else have any old business? How about new business? Anyone have any new? Anything for the open?
Madam Chair, I would like to just remind people that have controlled burns that you need to call those into the police department, but also extreme caution right now with the high winds and the high fire danger. Speaking with the fire department here, it's not something that we anticipate having to worry about this time of the year, but we've had 2 grass fires out in the county in the past week. So if you are going to be burning, you need to make sure and keep an eye on it, and don't do it on windy days.
We'll see if anybody called in. All right, thanks, Commissioner.
We're checking to see if anybody called in.
All right, we did not have anyone call in. Do we have a need for executive session today? I don't think we do. All right, so with that, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
Got a motion by Johnson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Gable. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. We are adjourned till next Tuesday, April 28th. Thanks, everyone.